Hold on tight. It's time again for the ride of your life at Capital Ford. And the ride of your life begins now with great low payments on a new 2026 Ford Bronco Sport. Buy for as low as $399 a month. Or a new 2026 Ford Maverick. Also buy for as low as $399 a month. And you need to buckle up because Ford employee pricing is now available during our Ride of Your Life event at Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? We welcome you to another episode of the Pit Press Live. Tonight's guest is one of the most exciting additions to Eric Olin's 2026-27 roster, 6'5" guard Hudson Maize. After earning all Big West honorable mention as a true freshman at UC San Diego, Hudson transferred to New Mexico following a breakout season where he averaged 11.1 points, 5.7 rebounds. He's an explosive athlete, two-way player, a physical defender, and one of the top mid-major players that came to UNM from the transfer portal. Today, we'll talk to Hudson about his journey, his basketball family, why he chose UNM over Power 4 offers, and what Lobo fans can expect when he steps onto the floor at the Pit. Hudson, thanks for joining us tonight, man.
Sir, thank you for having me.
Dad, go for it.
You know, Hudson, we're very glad to have you on our podcast, and there's a lot of Lobo fans that are excited to watch you play on the floor. You've got a upside that I think Lobo fans are going to see. You're just growing into that upside, and I think Lobo fans are excited around here. Your basketball journey has been unique. You had a great high school career at Redondo Union High School, but after your sophomore year, you kind of flew under the radar nationally. Looking back now, what was that recruiting process like? And did being under-recruited kind of give you a little bit of a chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, I mean, unique's definitely a great word for it. It wasn't the same as I would expect, or it wasn't the ideal fantasy that every kid grows up with, thinking I'm going to go be a 5-star, get recruited by all the blue bloods straight out of high school, be a McDonald's All-American, all those things. I wanted to achieve, but due to circumstances, some out of my control, that just didn't happen. Obviously, you kind of mentioned it on my sophomore year, I tore my ACL. So that set me back. Couldn't play for almost a year and missed one of the most crucial summers of my life in terms of AAU. So, yeah, that definitely set me back and put me under the radar, like you said. But I think, it did give me a chip on my shoulder. And as my high school career kind of went on and I was getting back from my injury and kind of just getting my legs back and almost learning how to move again, the correct way, it gave me a definitely extra motivation to go and prove everyone wrong. When I got hurt, all I could hear was people saying, you're not going to be the same player. You're gonna have to change your play style. You're gonna have to do this and that. But yeah, I just knew to keep working. Trust my coaches, trust my family. Just stay in the gym and just work as hard as I can. I knew if I did all that, everything was gonna work out. So yeah, it wasn't the ideal high school 5-star experience, but it got me to where I needed to be. I got to a great program at UC San Diego straight out of high school, and then now I'm here. So yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything for sure.
You mentioned the injury. You averaged 16 points and 6 rebounds your senior season, and I still sense that there's a little bit of a chip on your shoulder to where maybe you would have been had that injury hadn't occurred, where you should be. I saw you and I heard you on another podcast where you got goals and objectives, and I think those things will come. Your body's still young and growing. It will recover, has recovered. But we did want to ask you about a game. I don't know if you remember, January 20th, I believe, 2025, where you played against Volcano Vista here in Albuquerque, and they beat you 69. You beat them, I'm sorry, 69-60. They're the 5-time defending champion here. They just won their 5th championship in a row here this past spring. What was your memories of that game? What can you tell us about that game?
No, it's definitely a full circle moment coming back to think about it. But yeah, it was I didn't really play that well. I remember that part that much, but yeah, I think knowing that this team is from New Mexico is like the first thing on my mind. I was like, I've never played a team in New Mexico, but I knew they had their big man, I believe was a Gatorade Player of the Year that year. And I think they had another kid who's played open gym with us every now and then who's from New Mexico. So yeah, it's just pretty cool to play a team from, a different state. I'm not really used to kind of just always playing teams from California and Los Angeles. But it was a fun game. It was definitely intense. They played really hard, kind of gave me a oh yeah, that was actually a great play. That was my favorite play from that game for sure. But yeah, it was we actually ended up winning that tournament. So yeah, it was just a great experience kind of playing out in Arizona, which is closer to here as well. But yeah, it's a great full circle moment.
We had a quote from Greg Brown, is the head coach of Volcano Vista, and as we mentioned, he's one of the most respected coaches in the state of New Mexico. And I asked him about you. This is what he said: super athletic and skilled, played like a 4 position, hurt us in transition and on the glass. Good player. He will do well here. And believe me when I tell you, Greg Brown knows his basketball, man, comes from a basketball family. So that's what he had to say about you. Son, go ahead.
We're speaking with Hudson Maize, 6'5", 200-pound commit to UNM men's basketball for 26-27. Hudson, wanted to shift gears and ask you about your season at UC San Diego last year. You really took off during the second half of the year. During that stretch, you posted 2 double-doubles and 3 20-point games, highlighted by 18 points, 12 rebounds against UC Davis, and then a season-high 24 points against UC Riverside. What clicked for you down the stretch of your freshman season?
Honestly, it was just, I think, I don't want to say a wave of confidence came out of nowhere, but it was definitely my mindset changed. I was physically the same the entire year, if not, better, obviously getting down the year. I actually take it back, better at the start of the year when we were more fresh. But yeah, it was definitely just a mindset thing for me. I kind of coming in, there were a couple injuries that happened that put me in a position to where I had to play 30 minutes a game instead of maybe 20 or 22 what I was playing the majority of the start of the year. But yeah, I think around that mid-conference time, I just, did a lot of deep thinking within myself and kind of just made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to have any regrets this season, and I was going to, go out and just be that confident player because I know I put in the work to go do it. So when that kind of clicked for me, it was I just kind of went up from there. You know, I'm a really efficient player, and I've always kind of I've always kind of historically just gotten down on myself after I miss a couple shots and then, you know, decide to stop shooting. But I trusted my work. I put in the work, and I felt like I deserved to be able to go out and show it. So yeah, it was just a confidence thing for me. And once that happened, I didn't look back. I thought every time I stepped on the court, I was the best player. So I was just going to go out there and do it every time.
Hudson, one thing that jumps out in watching your film is how physical you are. You're a guard, but you rebound like a forward, and defensively at 6'5", it seems like you can guard every position. You know, there's a lot of guys that have your size but don't play with that physicality. Where did that mentality come from?
Yeah, definitely. I come from a very athletic family. You know, my grandfather, obviously, being in the Hall of Fame, one of the best basketball players in history. But my father playing football in the NFL, my mother being a multi-sport athlete pretty much throughout up to her high school career, I feel like I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't use my physical attributes to my to the max. And yeah, I was gifted with what I have, with my frame and my athleticism. So I just I give credit to a lot of my coaches down the line, specifically my high school coach. You know, he would get on me if I wasn't rebounding, and I don't think I really realized that tool that I had until probably my senior year of high school. I didn't realize that I was that big for my position. And coming into college, I've told this multiple times. You know, he's told me just defense and rebounding, just focus on that, and everything else will come. And I think my offense translates so much from my defense. So I think that two-way aspect of it just gives me a lot of runway to just be as physical as possible. And I think I wouldn't be doing the right thing if I wasn't being physical and playing like an athlete. But I think there's also other parts of my game that kind of round it out as well.
Hudson, last question from me, then I'll turn it back to my dad. But, you know, last season at UC San Diego, it looks like you only attempted about 31 three-pointers. You did shoot 35%. I know that's one of your goals going into next season is to become a more volume three-point shooter. But tell us how you're going to expand that part of your game.
Yeah, I've been in the gym all summer. Definitely here. Been in the gym a whole bunch, getting up a bunch of shots, even when it's not demanded of us. But yeah, it's definitely a forefront of what I want to improve on this season. Again, it's a confidence thing. I believe I'm a very capable shooter. It's just if I'm going to put the shot up or not. I think, you know, obviously I think I have the mechanics to do it. I think that's reflected by my free throw percentage. But yeah, I think just reps, honestly, just shooting in rhythm and just getting my footwork right and just not thinking too much when I shoot. I think after that comes, by the time the season comes around, I'm gonna be pretty much automatic. Hopefully, is what I'm going for. So, yeah, I think if I could add that part to my game, it's gonna make me pretty hard to stop. I think I was played off a lot last year at UCSD. The teams would put their bigs on me because they think I wouldn't really shoot. And in those games, yeah, I would take 2, 3, 4 threes. But I think if I just, you know, emphasize the confidence part and trying to just get that mindset in my mind, I'm going to shoot the ball if you play off me. I'm a capable shooter. Then I think it's just only up from there.
You know, Hudson, I'm smiling because when you said, I saw you on another podcast and you said if you felt you got that part of your game down, the shooting, that there would be no stopping you. You didn't think you could be stopped. And the other reason I'm laughing is, and smiling, not laughing at you. I've been a fan for a long time. And when you said automatic, there used to be Marvin, Mr. Automatic Johnson back in the day. And that's one of the greatest Lobos of all time. And this is before three-point shooting. And when you tell young players that, they're like, what? Like, is it, you know, I think your grandfather, Roger Brown, they play in the old ABA with the 3-point shot. They did, but Marvin Automatic Johnson was an incredible shooter. And you mentioned about shooting, and you mentioned mechanics. How many shots are you getting up a day? Some people get up 500, 1,000. You're working on that part of your game. You see it as something that you need to improve on. Lobo fans, I've seen a couple of people asking about that. But from a personal standpoint, is it 500 shots, squaring up to the basket, release? As far as mechanics, what do you think you need to work on the most there to improve your perimeter shooting?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of specifics, like I'm just really focused on kind of just keeping. I think my mechanics are like in place. It's just a matter of consistency at this point. I work with my trainer back in LA, and he helped me a lot to kind of lock those in. So it's just a matter of if I'm gonna help that translate over to live play when stuff speeds up. But yeah, here at New Mexico, I've definitely just been working on getting my feet right, and going straight up and down, not fading too much, getting good arc on my ball, just getting my hands in the right place, and just keeping my fall through every time. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's just, am I going to do it every single time? And I think if I can replicate the same shot, I'm going to be a really good shooter, as I think I have all the tools. It's just a matter of is it going to, be done every single time. And no matter what the circumstances are, no matter if it's a quicker shot off the dribble, no matter how high I'm jumping, how far it is out, if I just keep it the same every time and make minor tweaks, depending on range and speed of the shot, I think I'll be fine.
Reps, right? Doing the same thing in practice every day. I've got to ask you about this. The ABA, now, you wouldn't remember, you weren't born. I remember, there was no TV contract for the ABA. With the NBA back in the day, you might get one game a week on ABC or CBS. But me being the basketball, junkie I am, of course, I know who your grandfather was, an amazing player, one of the best, and people don't remember, played in the ABA, your grandfather, with Mel Daniels, George McGinnis, Dan Issel, Dr. J, George Gervin, some great names, Artis Gilmore. A lot of those guys went on to play in the NBA. Yeah. Now, Mel Daniels was a former Lobo great here. Did you learn anything more about the connection between Mel Daniels, being an ex-Lobo? He's actually one of the best Lobos, an ABA MVP back in the day. Mel's one of the greatest that ever played here. Did you hear more about Mel Daniels by hearing more about your grandfather, Roger Brown? Did Mel's name come up a lot?
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely now I think Lobo fans especially are making that connection to my grandfather. But yeah, anytime, anyone older kind of comes up to me, maybe outside or even in the open practice, I kind of hear about how they knew Uncle Mel back then. And it's pretty cool to see. Just, I feel like it's another full circle moment, like I'm coming back playing for a school that he kind of drew a legacy at, and just knowing that I'm here to do the same and carry on that legacy for him. I think that he was super close to my grandfather, obviously back in the day, and I didn't get to meet him. He died before I was born, but I think I kind of learned a lot through Uncle Mel when I talked to him before he passed. So yeah, just kind of putting those all together, I think everything's just really familiar coming to New Mexico. It's nothing I would expect if you asked me when I was 10, where would you be at school, I would not have told you New Mexico. But yeah, it's definitely just a great connection to come back and play for such a summited school that he played at.
Real quick, your Uncle Mel they played at Johnson Gym back in the day. He didn't make it to the pit, but the pit was built largely then because Bob King's teams were so good at Johnson Gym, they outgrew Johnson Gym, and that's when the pit was built. So that's just a little story there. But a question from one of our great listeners who's always on our, any Pit Press podcast we have, Steve Singletary wants to know, how are you dealing with the altitude so far?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. I can tell you the first 2 weeks were definitely took some getting used to. I expected it, as many people told me, all the coaches told me, but I remember I came here for my visit and did a little workout. It wasn't anything more than 30 minutes, but I was like, oh, I'll be fine when I come here. And then that first open gym game, it was rough. My lungs were burning, but yeah, great. We have great trainers and great coaches here. Reese helps us out with her strength and conditioning. Like, she's, I think, gotten me in really good shape already. It's been 3-4 weeks. So yeah, I think I'm used to it now. I could tell you that. So yeah, it took a little getting used to. The first couple of weeks were kind of tough, but I think now I'm getting back into game shape. So,
Son.
Hudson, tell us a little bit about your relationship with Coach Eric Olin. He recruited you out of high school at Redondo Union to UC San Diego. Then when you decommitted from Central Michigan, he recruited you again to UNM last season. And you said third time is a charm. So tell us a little bit about your relationship with Coach Olin.
Yeah, it goes back a while to, like you said, my junior year of high school. He's one of my first offers. So that in itself is just a great way to put our relationship. Like, he's been recruiting me since the beginning, since I wasn't recruited at all. He was there, trying to get me to come play for him. So yeah, like I said, other circumstances didn't really allow me to come play for him. When I was after my senior year of high school, both times, and then I think now is just, like I said, it was only right to come join Lobo Nation and be with him at a great program, a winning program. We're going to play a great schedule. Just play with great players. But yeah, we have a great relationship. He has a great relationship with the rest of my family, not just me. So all that to say, yeah, it was a really good place for me to land. And as a coach, in terms of coaching style and who I wanted to play for, is a no-brainer for me.
And Hudson, tell us a little bit about what Coach Olin is like. We got our first glimpse last season. Coach Olin seems like 90% of the time he's a player's coach, really positive, upbeat, but there is that 10% where he can get on you a little bit. I know you've only been under him directly for about a month, but what's been your experience so far?
Yeah, no, it's definitely reflected in practices. He's super calm, which is good. He doesn't get rattled a lot if anything, small happens, he's going to point it out, but he's not going to overreact, which I kind of said this previously. Yeah, it kind of reflects my personality as well, on the court at least. I think I'm very composed. So just having him as a coach to kind of share that same trait with me is really good. And yeah, in practices, we've definitely had times where, where he's going to get on us, he's going to hold us accountable, but at the same time, he's going to be super positive and uplifting when it comes to improving on stuff. And yeah, like I said, his personality also complements the rest of the coaches as well. We have a lot of coaches that kind of their personalities mesh together, and when he's kind of observing another coach will come get on us and kind of tell us what needs to be done. But yeah, it's a good mix, in my opinion, of just being cool, calm, and collected, but also being a coach that you want to play for, and that's gonna hold you accountable.
Hudson, you're coming to us from UC San Diego. Coach Allard there, from our understanding, runs a very similar system to what Coach Olin runs. But what can you tell Lobo fans about how much overlap there will be going from UC San Diego to Coach Olin? How much have you hit the ground running?
Yeah, I mean, playing for Coach Allard, is a great coach, obviously. But yeah, they had a similar system. Obviously, him coaching under Coach Olin. a couple years ago at UCSD. But yeah, it's similar concepts offensively and defensively, the same in some sense. But yeah, it's like you said, I'm gonna hit the ground running just in terms of picking things up, picking offensive, plays, defensive concepts, and just like the motion of how the entire team is run. It's pretty familiar to me, so I'm not really gonna have a lot of problem on that side, of picking up what I need to do, where I need to be, kind of terms used, very similar. So yeah, all that to say, my focus is definitely locked in on that part, and I can guarantee, um, when the season comes around, hopefully everyone's locked in, and I can assure that I'm gonna be there helping and leading other people who aren't as familiar with it to help them as well.
We're speaking with Hudson Maize, 6'5", transfer guard to UNM men's basketball from UC San Diego. Hudson, how do you feel the chemistry of the team is building? I know it's still very early. You guys are just getting guys in, and you guys have been together for about a month. But a month in, how do you feel like the team is gelling together so far?
Yeah, I think we're bonding really quick. There's definitely been some parts where, we have some of my teammates coming in a little late due to them being out of the country, but Finn just got here a couple days ago, and he's already a part of a brotherhood at this point. Federico, he got here last week. We're already hanging out with him a bunch. He's already meshing well with the offense in terms of on-court stuff. But yeah, like I said, Coach Olin and the whole coaching staff they recruited good people. So we're all cool with each other. We all kind of welcomed each other with open arms, if you will. Everyone coming from different places. Only I think 3 returners. But yeah, Jake, Uri, and Chris, they've all done a great job of kind of helping acclimate us to what UNM basketball is all about. So yeah, we've hung out. Everyone's really cool with each other. I think that's going to really help us on the court when the time comes to play.
There's another question from one of our great listeners, always been on the Pit Press podcast since we started 3 years ago. Hi, Hudson. Warm welcome to Albuquerque. Welcome to the Lobos in Albuquerque. There have been comparisons of you to NBA legend Adrian Dantley. Any thoughts on that comparison? And I don't know if you were way too young to remember him, but has anybody mentioned Adrian Dantley? They called him the teacher, small forward, played for Detroit, the Utah Jazz, Dallas Mavericks, and the Los Angeles Lakers. Has anybody mentioned that to you?
Yeah, I actually haven't heard that one before. People might come at me. I've heard of Adrian Dantley. I've not seen him play though. Yeah, like you said, probably ahead of my time. But yeah, I actually haven't heard that comparison yet. So I'll be sure to go watch some film on him and see what kind of the comparison is for sure.
Yeah, YouTube him, man. You'll enjoy. That guy was, man. Yeah, he was small forward, 6'5", but could really work the post and score and get to the free throw line. What's been the biggest challenge so far in learning Eric Olin's offense? And you got some familiarity with some of the same concepts and things you said coming from UCSD, but what's been the biggest challenge so far?
Yeah, I'd say the only really challenge is there's minor tweaks in the offense compared to at UCSD. So, I mean, those gave me a little trouble, in the first couple weeks when we were going through the basics of our offense, I would say. But other than that, it's just really there's just small things throughout the offense and defense that kind of are based in, just levels of college basketball, I would say. Obviously, UNM almost made the tournament last year and has made the tournament multiple times in the past. So just them playing, just a better schedule and kind of being in a better conference. There's a couple of differences in terms of details throughout the offense that I've had to kind of pick up on and learn. But I think I'm picking up on it pretty fast. I'm understanding it well. I'd like to think I'm a smart player, so just taking all those things into account, having an open mind, and also just at the end of the day playing basketball. I mean, that's what they want to do. They want us to play free and not be robots. So just kind of breaking out of his shell, while also, taking the details into account and being sharp.
We got another question, but along with that, you mentioned that playing basketball. I think your athleticism, coach wants a lot of ball movement, a lot of screens. I also think as the season goes on, you're going to have the green light. If you see us to attack a gap, I think you're going to be able to do that, get downhill as your game and your maturity keeps rising, as we've seen. That I think it excites a lot of Lobo fans. What you've seen so far, what stands out most about this team's potential? And it's young. You're still getting people in. But what have you seen with that? What have you seen?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of talent, but I think a lot of high major and really good mid-major teams have a lot of talent as well. I think we're really smart, and I think that's what's going to set us apart. But also there's a lot of teams that are smart too, but I think we work hard. We work really hard. So I think all those three, talent plus is what I call it. Like, I think all that put together is really going to separate us. We are a young team, but we do have vets between Ritas, Chris, and some other players who have experience playing college basketball already. Like, I think we're going to mesh really well in terms of having leadership and also having youth. But at the end of the day, we're like super talented. We have a lot of length that can do everything. I think we're going to shoot really well. I think we just have players that can really do everything and are really well-rounded, but that also have a chip on their shoulder. Specifically me, I'm here to win every game if possible. Like, that's my mindset going into it. So I think we just have a good mesh of a lot of good things that you need to be a good college basketball team. So yeah, I think just like I said, talent, hard work, and just our brains. I think when we put those all together, that's what's going to set us apart.
One more quick question. I'll turn it back over to my son, but it's important to tell people you've got goals not only to be the conference player of the year, but you want to be the defensive player of the year as well. We've talked a lot about your offense, and we should mention you want to be the defensive player, so we can't leave that out either. It's not just one way. You want to play both ways, and that people know that. But son, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Hudson, tell us how you think your skill set's going to fit with Jake Hall and Uriah Tenet. Jake Hall, the Mountain West Freshman of the Year last year, broke the single-season record for three-point shooting, became a three-level scorer as the season went on. But it seems like his floor spacing, your ability to attack the basket pair pretty well. And then Uriah Tenet, just a freak athlete who averaged about 11 points per game last season, really broke out down the stretch of Mountain West Conference play. How do you think your skill set will fit with them?
Yeah, I think just us as a backcourt is going to be really hard to deal with. You kind of already said it. Like, Jake's shooting and just scoring as a whole is one of the best shooters and scorers I've played with, to be honest, already. I've been here for 3-4 weeks. So just being around that, obviously that's going to space the floor. And Uriah, he can pretty much get around anyone. He's faster than anyone I played with. Like, he can jump out the gym, and his athleticism complementing mine as well. And then I think I'm going to, bring a little bit of everything, mainly getting downhill and just being there on the defensive side of the ball and rebounding as a guard. I think we're all really good scorers. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on the defense. And then on the defensive end, I think we're going to be really hard to deal with as well. I think just kind of like I said, all our skill sets complement each other pretty well. I think we're all really tenacious. I know they want to win as much as I do. They have something to play for. Last year not making the tournament and even losing in the NIT that far down the line. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder for that. And me, I'm just want to come in and win. Like, beat everyone in the Mountain West. Lost to Hawaii last year. Now they're in this conference, right? Like, it's just there's always something to play for. So we're all competitors. We're all going to play both sides of the ball, and obviously Jake being one of the best players in the country, and Uriah being one of the best point guards in the country, and then me coming in, I think that's going to be different. I think, like I said, I'll stand on what I said. I think we're one of the best backcourts. So.
This is the Pit Press Live. We're speaking with Hudson Maize, 6'5" transfer guard from UC San Diego. Hudson, just a couple more questions for you, then we'll get you out of here. We'll go to the comments from Thrifty Gaming. Hey, Hudson, what did you think about the open practice and interacting with New Mexico fans for the first time?
Yeah, it was great. I think the open practice was definitely a success. I felt the love the minute I stepped down on the court from the ramp. It was surreal, to be honest. That many people there just for a practice kind of blew my mind, but it shows how much, Albuquerque and the UNM community supports us and wants us to see us win. So, it was great to see. Met a lot of people, met a lot of season ticket holders, a lot of the kids who were, striving to maybe come play for UNM one day, just to sign autographs, take pictures, and just interact with everyone. It was great. And it was, really cool to see how cool everyone was. Like I said, one of the first things I'll say when people ask me, what do you like about Albuquerque, is the people. It's such a tight-knit community, and everyone's so welcoming. So, it was great to just meet a lot of new people and, just give advice to kids and to talk to parents and talk to fans. So it was great.
Dad.
Hudson, we can't let you go without asking you this. What have you what did you hear about the Pit, before had you been familiar with it? Had you seen it on TV? What did you heard about it? And how forward are you looking forward to playing in front of a practice there now? But how forward are you looking how much are you looking forward to playing in front of a packed house there?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it a lot. I think about it every day. I step on the practice court. Every time I go down, look in the pit, even on my visit, I could just visualize, 15,000 fans there. Us playing a packed game, you can't hear anything. But, that's one of the reasons I play. That stuff fuels me. So I'm super excited about that. Even before I even thought about coming to New Mexico, I was a couple years ago, watching the team with Coach Patino coaching here, just seeing how packed the gym was, and just kind of how surreal the whole experience was. You can't even explain it through TV, but that says a lot, of how much I kind of really saw it just through a broadcast. But yeah, hearing it from all the coaches and Uriah, Chris, and Jake, who played here last year, them telling me, how packed the games get and how exciting it is. It just makes me so I'm so excited to get there and actually experience it for myself. So, but yeah, it should be a great experience. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Hudson, we at the Pit Press, Eric Bolton, the president, my son Nick Nunez, and myself, we really want to thank you for coming on. You're a deep thinking guy, man. You think about the game. You got a lot of goals. There's a chip there, but I've seen chips from a lot of people, man. A lot of athletes. More of a calm chip, but it's there, right? It's not out front, but it's there. And I think Lobo fans are really going to enjoy watching you play this season. You come from, like we mentioned, I didn't even know about your mom. The lineage you come from is incredible. Your grandfather, your father, your mom. You've got all the tools and gifts. God-given, and that injury may have put you back a little bit, but I think we're going to see an upside here from you that people are going to be very pleasantly surprised about, man. I think the sky's the limit. I really do. So we want to thank you for being with us on the Pit Press, and we wish you the best of luck in this upcoming season. We'll be seeing you for sure down at the Pit.
Sir, appreciate you guys. Thank you.
You bet. Nick Nunez and I will be back after these messages on the Pit Press.
Hold on tight. It's time again for the ride of your life at Capital Ford. And the ride of your life begins now with great low payments on a new 2026 Ford Bronco Sport. Buy for as low as $399 a month. Or a new 2026 Ford Maverick. Also buy for as low as $399 a month. And you need to buckle up because Ford employee pricing is now available during our Ride of Your Life event at Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
Welcome back to the Pit Press. Ed Nunez along with Nick Nunez. Eric Moulton's backstage. If he wants to jump on, we'd love to hear from him too. But Nick, Hudson Maize, a deep thinking guy, man. You know, we saw that interview that you sent, the podcast that he had done earlier, a couple months earlier. A very deep thinking guy, has goals. But, you know, Nick, you've seen guys with chips, so have I. And some guys can be very, and women, can be very demonstrative about it. You feel it. You feel that confidence. He's got confidence, but it's almost like a calm one, a calm confidence, a quiet confidence. And I really think Lobo fans here are going to be very happy with the way he's going to play. I think he's got a tremendous upside that we're going to benefit here from as Lobo fans.
I 100% agree with that. I think some of the things that Hudson touched on dating back to his time playing high school basketball and his recruitment out of high school, you know, Dad, I didn't do enough research to see how highly he was rated in the state of California, but he was a 3-star prospect out of Redondo Union High School that's in Los Angeles. And, you know, his teams had a lot of success. I think he won a city championship his freshman year. And just continue to get better. But that injury that we talked about, he mentioned it, tearing his ACL his sophomore season, missing out on his 16U summer, set him back a little bit, Dad. But I think he uses that for fuel. And he really had a breakout season at UC San Diego last year as a true freshman, all Big West honorable mention. And he was in double figures in all 10 of UC San Diego's final 10 games. He had 3 20-point games, 24 points, season high against UC Riverside, a team the Lobos played last year in the pit, and just became a really good two-way player. You know, Dad, I think what we showed in those highlight clips, he's very physical on the defensive end and rebounding. I mean, he averaged 5.7 rebounds per game last season for UC San Diego, and he was the leading rebounder on the team. You can go check the stats from last season. So that plus his ability to guard positions 1 through 5. You know, you mentioned that he was on a podcast about a month ago. I'm going to butcher this guy's last name, but the YouTube page is ODJ Hoops. And his first name is Christian. He's also on X. I'm sure a lot of Lobo fans do follow him. I know we follow him on the Pit Press, but he did an interview with Hudson Maize about a month ago. We'll see if we can put the link in the chat or in the comments. But it's titled New Mexico's Hudson Maize, a Star in the Making. It's on YouTube. And I'd encourage Lobo fans to go listen to that, get more in depth on Hudson Maize. But honestly, Dad, in short, he was terrific.
I think the other thing is that, you know, the Eric Olins offense is based on action, a few actions, read and react, a lot of screening. I think that having Hudson Maize on the team gives you an opportunity for a guy that can attack. We had Uriah Tenet did that. Dayton Albury put a lot of rim pressure on last year. I think this guy's a little bit different as far as his physicality, strength, his rebounding ability. You mentioned his defensive ability. I just think there's a part of his game, Nick, that we're going to see here, that we're going to be dropping our jaws a couple of times, man. Like, oh man, okay, because he's got it. He's got the body, and we're taking a look at some highlights here, and it's an upside that, and I think the other thing is that he didn't. I was surprised, he was recruited by some Power 5 schools, but came here, and I think you and I were like, hey, we're glad he did, but he definitely could have gone somewhere else.
Dad, I'm not sure about the Adrian Dantley comparison, man. I love John Romero. I thought it was a great comment. But, man, that goes back, for Lobo fans that are a little younger. Adrian Dantley, former forward for the Detroit Pistons. Tell us more a little bit about that comparison that John Romero made, Dad.
Now, John is a student of the game, man. He's watched for a long time. AD did a lot of his work in Sun. He was only 6'5", a lot of work in the post, mid-range. Hudson probably stretches a little bit more than AD ever did, but AD was, gosh, man, a really good player. So yeah, I think I see some of the comparison that John was getting at, but I think Hudson's a little bit different, that he handles the ball a little bit more on the perimeter, where Dantley did most of his work right there in the paint and got to the line. The teacher, they call him. He was a member of the Pistons team, and then they traded him for Mark Aguirre, and the Pistons won a championship the next year. And but Adrian Dantley, I'm not sure where he is as far as all-time leading scorers in the NBA, but believe me, he put a lot of points up. But I think, Nick, I think he's a great guest. I know we want to thank Steve Kirtland over there at UNM. I'll tell you, we work with some great people over there, Frank Macagliano, Steve Kirtland. We have Allison Weiss. They've all helped us get people to get on the pit press. We're trying to promote Lobo athletics, so we want to thank them, and for our Lobo women's basketball legend series that Coach Sanchez has taken the bull by the horns with. So we appreciate her, man. We appreciate being able to get these Lobo players on and giving people a preview of what they might see. I enjoyed Hudson Maize, son. I really did, because, like I said, he's a deep thinking guy about a lot of different things. He's got goals. We mentioned his offense. What about his D, Nick? What about his defense? What kind of benefits do you see from a physical guy that can rebound? What about the defensive end? What do you see there?
Oh, a guy that can guard positions 1 through 5. In a lot of those highlight clips that we showed, it shows Hudson really getting into the passing lanes, getting live ball turnovers and steals, running in transition and scoring. I think he has the ability to do that, and there will be opportunities for him to do that next year in the defensive scheme that Coach Olin likes to run. I think, again, he's a guy that can rebound. We've talked a lot about that at length, Dad. So I think with him, you get a two-way player that can guard guards out on the perimeter, but he can be physical with some of the bigger players on the opposing team. And I think, he's 6'5", and maybe that is his true height, but I think where he'll make up for it is his weight. I mean, he weighs about 205 pounds, and he's got a real big physical frame up top. So I think you're going to get a lot from him on the defensive end. Dad, let's read a comment, and let's get to a couple headlines, and let's get out of here. This comment comes from Owen Morrow 7777. Who do you think the starting 5 will be for next year? Now, Dad, this is a brand new team. Hudson just told us tonight that Finn Lastring just got into the country 2 days ago. And I believe he was the last one that needed to join the team. Last week, Chris Howell was getting married. He missed practice. Congratulations to Chris Howell on a new happy marriage. But this team is coming together. If I had to give a prediction now, this is my starting 4, and I'm going to have to think about the 5. I think Jake Hall and Uriah Tenet obviously are favorites to start. Who knows what could happen in preseason workouts? Well, the remainder of the summer, they'll finish, I think, at the end of July, beginning of August. They'll go home for a couple weeks, come back, and start off-season workouts before the season starts in November. Barring no injuries, anything else, everybody's healthy, I think Jake Hall and Uriah Tenet do start. I think Hudson Maize has an excellent chance to start. He started, I think, the final 10 or so games for UC San Diego. He mentioned there were some injuries for the Tritons last season, gave him the opportunity to see more minutes, and he thrived. Again, averaging double figures in his final 10 games. I think Hudson Maize is in the starting lineup, so that's Uriah Tenet, Jake Hall, Hudson Maize. Then we got to look to who of the bigs is going to start next year. Finn Lastring, I believe, just turned 19 years old on May 11th, this May. He did play some professional basketball in Germany. I think he's going to be a little bit less developed than JT Rock. Remember, JT Rock had a redshirt year at Iowa State, his true freshman season. And even though he didn't play a lot of minutes, his sophomore season got real physical. And then Tomislav Buljan, a 23-year-old professional from Croatia. So I don't think Last String has that kind of physicality yet, but I think he can get there. They're bringing in A.J. Pierre-Jerome, the transfer from Butler, who only played about 16 and a half minutes off the bench for the Butler Grizzlies. Again, that's a junior college in Kansas. I think he sees the floor, but I'm not sure I pencil him in as a starter, which leaves you to Federico Grani, the 6'9" Italian professional basketball player. I don't have our story up in front of me, but he did play professional basketball in Italy, and he seems to be the most developed of the three, Dad. So that's my starting four: Uriah Tenet, Jake Hall, Hudson Maize, Federico Grani. I'll have to think about the fifth. Dad, I know you're just learning this team. Maybe Chris Howell.
What about Petrides? What about Rytis Petrides?
Yeah, he came off the bench at Cal last year. So I think, it's fair that he could come off the bench. I think about a guy like Luke Hopt when I think of Rytis Petrides. You guys did a great job of interviewing him, you and Eric. But I think of Rytis Petrides possibly coming off the bench, but you could go with Chris Howell off the bench. You could go with Petrides off the bench. How about we'll leave it at those two, Dad? It's either Petrides or Chris Howell, and that's us sitting here.
You've got some other guys that can score off Smolbanovic. What's his name? The guy from St. John's?
Imran Soljanovic.
There's another guy that could come off the bench. I think they've got a lot of options that they can discuss. And you mentioned it is kind of early, but I would say for sure, Jake's starting, right? Uriah's starting. I think Hudson Maize is starting. So we'll see. And then you got Dax Hall, of course, that he can come off the bench and contribute. I think there's a lot of things that a lot of moving pieces Eric Olin has recruited here.
Some news in Lobo land, Dad, and then let's get out of here. This is big news, and this comes from Frank Macargliano, Associate AD for Communications, in a press release that was disseminated via email to members of the media. You can also go to golobos.com to the news section and read this. But the Mountain West has announced its 2025-26 Athletes of the Year, and it was a clean sweep for UNM. Habtum Samuel, a 4-time national champion, and Pamela Koskai, a 3-time national runner-up, were both selected as the Mountain West Male and Female Athletes of the Year. And it marks the first time in league history that the Male and Female Athletes of the Year were both from the same school, and the second consecutive year that Koskai was the Female Athlete of the Year. She is just the third student athlete to ever earn the award in back-to-back years, joining Boise State's Ali Ostrander in 2016-17, 2017, 2018, 2018, 2019, and Emma Bates of 2013 and 2014, 2014, 2015. Again, that all comes from a press release at golobos.com from Frank Macargliano, Associate AD for Communications. But that's great news for UNM Athletics, Dad.
No, it really is. Habtum Samuel and Pamela Koski have been Habtum Samuel. Both of them have been amazing. In what they've done for UNM track and field. Very, very good.
All right, Dad, a couple more comments, and then let's get out of here. This is John Romero, the Italian stallion as a starter, like you're thinking there, Nick Nunez. Well, thanks, John. I appreciate that. And then this is Justin Romero, 5717. Shout out Redondo. We produce hoopers. I like that. Hudson Maize was our guest tonight, product of Redondo Union High School. Dad, anything else before we sign off?
No, son, like I said, again, thanks to Eric Moulton. He'd have jumped on, but he made some great graphics tonight. And you know what? I just want to say this again. I think the production that he puts together is underrated. It's some of the best on any podcast. Just take a look at others and watch the Pit Press. We've got a lot of things coming up. We're going to start reaching out to Lobo football. We've got to cover them too, and we want to. Eric and I will be at the Mountain West Conference in Las Vegas in a couple weeks. So please, thank you for subscribing and watching the Pit Press, and keep an eye on us. We've got other things coming up.
For Eric Moulton, owner of the Pit Press, your producer tonight, Ed Nunez, Lobo fan since 1970. I'm Nick Nunez. Thank you once again for tuning in to the Pit Press Live.